So let's say you have been, or even you are currently in a situation where you are being abused, you are being bullied, you are being attacked. Okay. Now, when we are in situations like that, um, when we're in a situation like that, the normal human response is to get hurt, is to take it personal, is to get wounded when we are treated so badly from another human being. That's the normal human response. And so what we need to do in this situation, we need to be very intentional about checking ourselves, checking our own emotions and our hearts and our souls for woundedness. So if you remember this is a list I've been giving you the past 2 weeks. These are part of the components of woundedness. So we're looking at what is it inside of these people who act so hatefully, so abusively, that causes them to act this way. And so these are some of the components that would be inside of somebody like that comes out in this hateful, abusive behavior. So we need to guard ourselves against these same things. So because it's kind of like this never-ending circle, that we can get into. And this is how generational curses work a lot of times, where if somebody abuses somebody, then the person they abused gets these same wounds, and then that turns them into an abuser as well. And so you just see this cycle of abuse going down through family lines. And so it's because of these things. So what happens if you allow these sorts of things: unforgiveness, bitterness, anger, vengeance, a desire for revenge, hatred? If you allow the wounds, the bad treatment to cause these things to be in your soul, and you just let them stay there, then they will continue to grow and get worse and get worse. And it'll be like a kind of like an open wound that gets infected, and it starts to infect other parts of you. And, especially if you are continuing to feed these kinds of things, which is what we see a lot of times with abusive people, is that they feed on their hatred, they feed on their bitterness and anger, and they seethe in it, they wallow in it, and that just makes it worse and worse and worse. And the longer that stuff stays inside of your soul, the worse it gets, until you can become just like them. It eventually will turn any human being into a monster. Okay, that's why people are so mean to each other. So we've got to be intentional to examine our own souls anytime we're in situations where we are experiencing abuse and getting these wounds. We need to watch for these things in our souls. And when you see this stuff in your soul, we've got to give that to God. We can't wallow in it. We can't sit in it. We have to recognize it and start the process of giving it to God, giving it to God, so that the Holy Spirit can heal your soul. And sometimes it's a process depending on what the situation is. But we've got to be committed to that process, so we don't end up just like the people who are abusing us.